Hey everybody, welcome back to Doodle Decks. My name's Dexter, and in today's video we're going to be drawing this picture of Keanu Reeves as John Wick. So what we're going to do to start with is draw a grid which will help us to actually draw the outline of the picture, and then we're just going to work on the colouring. Now if you don't actually want to draw anything, all you want to do is colour in. I've actually got the line art available which looks like this. So if you look down in the description, you can actually download that, print it out and colour it in. So to get started, we're going to draw a grid which is going to look something like this. And the reason we use a grid is that we can split the drawing into smaller pieces, and that'll make it easy for you to follow along. If you've watched before, you'll know how to draw a grid. Then you can skip to around 2 minutes into the video, and that's where we'll start the drawing. What we're going to do is take a blank piece of paper, grab a ruler and a pencil, and we're going to draw a grid. And make sure that when you do this, you press really lightly with your pencil, because we're going to be erasing the grid later on. So grab your ruler, and what we're going to do is measure in 4 inches. So just put a mark with your pencil, and then also put a mark at 5, 6, 7 and 8 inches. Now go down to the bottom of the page and do the same. And then using the ruler, just draw a straight line going through those marks that we've made. Now take your ruler and measure down from the top 1 inch. And then 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And then do the same on the other side. And then all we're going to do is join up those lines again using your ruler. Like that, and that's our grid. So that'll make it a lot easier for you to follow along and make sure that your drawing looks accurate. So to get started then, take a pencil and make sure that you press lightly, just in case you make a mistake, so it's easy to erase it out. What I'm going to be doing though is using a marker pen, just so it shows up on the page easier, so you can see it a lot more clearly. So to start off with, we're just going to be working down at the bottom of the grid. So we're going to work between those 2 points that I've made. So just start by drawing a curve upwards, like that. And then follow the line through the next grid. And then keep it going up. But we're not going to go all the way to the top. We're going to curve it out, and that's where we're going to draw in his ear later on. So now what we're going to do is do the same on the other side. So work towards that mark that we've made. And keep the line going through the next square. And then same as on the other side. So up and out and curl it around a little. So now we can draw in his ears. So it's just coming round in a curve. Another curve. And then one final bit where we join it up to the top, and the same on the other side. So curve, another curve, and a big loop where we join it at the top like that. So now what we're going to do is work on the top of his head and his hair. So coming out of his ear, if you go up to the next grid line, so straight up through that square. Then we're going to start curving it round into the next square, like that. And then around the middle center grid line, we're going to curve and come downwards. So that's going to be like the middle of his hair. So again, do the same on the other side. So it's up into the next square, big curve round, and then we've just got to join it up with the part that we've just drawn, like that. So that's the outline of him so far. So now we can start putting in a few details. So we're going to start on the bottom of his hair. So it's just a few jagged lines, and then a big line up to the bottom of his ear. So on the other side, a few jagged lines, and then a big curve going up to the bottom of his ear. So that's going to be like the back of his hair. And then go down to the bottom corner of the grid and just do a big line coming in, and the same on the other side, so a big curve. That's going to be shoulders, like that. So that's the outline done. So now we can start doing more details on the inside of his face and on the inside of his clothes. So we're going to start by drawing his suit and his tie. So just put a few marks on the page. So we're going to go through that line and then curve it in the other way, and do the same on the other side. So just a curve in like that. So that's going to be his tie. And then we're just going to start drawing his suit. So go up like that, and the same on the other side. So curl it upwards. Okay, so you can see that's going to be like his shirt and his tie and his suit jacket there. So now we can work on his face and his ears. So for his ears, draw a line going down and another line, and then a little V shape for the inside of his ear, and the same on the other side. So now what we're going to do is start on his beard. So I'm just going to put a mark on the page where we're going to work from. So you do a curve upwards and a little line coming back, like a jagged line, and the same again, and then take that line all the way up past his ear to the next grid line, and do the same on the other side. So it's up and then in a little bit, and up to the next part and back down, and then all the way again up past his ear to that next grid line. So from there it's going to continue the inside of his hairline. So keep working up to the next grid line, do a few jagged little edges, and then we're going to curve that hairline round through those squares and back down to the center like that, and then the same on the other side. So it's up, a few jagged little edges, and then we're going to join it and connect it back up to the middle. So again, it's a big curve round and connect it up. So now we'll come back down to the bottom of his beard. So draw a line up in a big curve, and the same on the other side. And then we move on to the top of his moustache. So it's another curve going over the top like that, and stopping before we get to the center. And then all we're going to do from there is keep it going downwards towards that center line, and then just draw two lines going downwards. So that's going to make like the top of his beard, and then we're going to draw a curve to connect all that together. So from that point there, we're going to go up like this and draw the same on the other side. And then bring that line round and connect it to the top like that, and then do the same on the other side. Okay, so that's what I've got so far. So now just to finish off his beard, it's a line up with a jagged little edge. So line up, jagged, and keep it going up, and then we just need to connect those two pieces together. So a little bit of a curve like that and connect it together. So that's his beard now then. So What we can do now is just draw in his lips. So his mouth's going to be closed, so all we need to do is just a straight line going across like that. We're not actually going to draw in his lips, we'll just colour those in later on. So that's his mouth done. So now what we can work on are his eyebrows. So now what we can work on is his nose. So just above his beard, just draw two small oval shapes and connect those together. And then for the side of his nose, it's just a curve and then a line going up. So do that on both sides. And then we can move up to his eyes and his eyebrows. So for his eyebrows, just make those two marks so you can see where we're working to. I'm just going to go across and curve it back round like that. So now do the same on the other side. So just a line coming straight across and curve it back round with a little jagged edge again, and then join it up like that. So that's his eyebrows. So then now we're just going to draw his eyelids. So that's just going to be a big curve and a line going downwards. So the same on the other side, so a line going up and then curve it round like that. So now I've drawn in his eyelids, we can draw in his actual eyes. So to do this then, I'll just make two marks on the page. I'm just going to join that up with a curve underneath, curve over the top like that. So the same on the other side. So just beneath his eyelid. So all we need to now is actually draw in his eyes. So that's just going to be a curve on either side and the same on the other side. Like that. Now for his pupil, all we're going to do is colour in a black circle, but just make sure that you don't draw a full circle, so leave a little corner missing, and that'll make it look like it's got a highlight on his eye. So it's colouring in a circle, but if you can see, we've just left a little corner missing on the top left hand side, and that's going to make it look like it's reflecting some light. So that's our finished drawing there. So what we need to do now is, if you've drawn it in pencil, just go over it with a marker pen and then take an eraser, and we're just going to erase out all the lines on the grid, so we're left with just the outline ready for colouring in. So now the next step then, we're going to grab some colours, so you can use whatever you want, whatever you've got, so you can use coloured pencils, felt tips, marker pens, crayons, even paint if you want to. So I'm going to use marker pens, and we're going to start by colouring the shadows on his skin. So I'm going to take a dark beige pinky colour and colour in some lines on his ears. So it's a curve and a little circle on that section, and then a little line on the bottom of his ear. So do the same on the other side. And now we're going to draw a shadow on either side of his face to make it look like his face is more rounded, so it looks like it stands out from the page. So it's a line upwards to his eyebrow, draw around his eyebrow, and then keep the line going up and curve it round so it kind of follows his hairline. And down like that, and then you can colour that part in. And then we're just going to do the same on the other side. So it's a line up round his eyebrow and follow the line round from his hair and colour that section in. So now then we can start colouring in his nose. So we're going to start by colouring in the bottom section. So just colour in the bottom of his nose like that. And then we're going to draw a curve from the middle of his nose coming round and up to his eyebrow. And do the same on the outside of his nose, and you'll see we've just left a little white section. That's going to be the side of his nose where the light's hitting it. So colour in that part, and do the same on the other side. So it's the line going from the center of his nose up to his eyebrow, then drawing a line on the outside of his nose, making sure to leave a gap on the side of his nose, and then draw that line up and colour it in. So you can see we've got those two sections on either side of his nose where we're going to colour those in later on. That's going to be the highlights. So now we can move on to underneath his eyes. So it's just drawing a little section like this, a little triangle underneath his eye, and then colouring right beneath his eye, bring it round over his eye, and then just colouring under his eyebrow a little bit like that. So I'll do the same on the other side now. So it's a little triangle, drawing, going underneath his eye and over the top of his eye, and then just a line beneath his eyebrow. So that's all the shadows drawn there. So now what we can do is take a lighter colour and colour in the rest of his skin. Like that. So you can see that we've left a section for his lips. So to colour that in, we're just going to use a light beige or a light pink colour to colour in his lips. And now we can take a dark brown and just colour in his eyes and leave a little white section so it looks like there's some light reflecting back off his eyes. Like that. And then next up, if you take a really light grey and just colour in a little bit on the top of his eyes, it's going to look like it's a shadow, so it's going to make it look a lot more realistic. So it's just colouring in a little bit in his eyes. And then if you take either a really dark grey or a black to colour in his eyebrows, like that. So you can see it's really coming on now, it's really starting to look like him. So what we're going to do now is work on his hair and the highlights. So use like a mid-grey colour, and on the bottom of his hair we're just going to draw some lines like this, so some jagged lines, and we're going to colour those in, and that's just going to make it look like it's a highlight. So after this we're going to colour in the darker parts of his hair, and it'll make the highlights and the shadow sort of stand out. So do the same on the other side. So that's both sides of his hair done at the bottom. So we're going to do something similar at the top now. So to do this, we're just going to draw some wavy lines, and for this it doesn't have to be accurate. As long as you kind of do something similar, it should look alright. So just some squiggly lines like that, and colour that section in. And then do the same on the other side. So just a wavy pattern like this. So just wherever you want to go for this section, and then just colour that in again. So now you can do is just take a black colour, and we can just colour in the rest of his hair and his beard. Like that. So that's his entire face done now then. What we're going to do now is work on his shirt. So take a light grey and just colour in a shadow like this on either side of his shirt. So that's his shirt done. So if you take a black colour, we can start working on his suit, and all we're going to do is colour in his tie and either side of his suit like that. So there we go, that's our finished picture there of Keanu Reeves as John Wick. I hope you've liked this video. Smash the like button if you found it useful. If you've got any questions, you can write those in the comments section. I'll get back to you and trying to help you guys out. So thanks again for watching, you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.